What does the current world look like? And there's some hefty links here with what happens at Two Sisters. So just a bit of an overview of Two Sisters Food Group. We are sometimes the biggest, sometimes the second biggest food company in the UK. 43 sites, not a particularly great brand, some pretty awful working conditions at times because they're factories. So it's pretty hard to recruit into, and that links into then other trends in the UK, such as engineering, which we recruit loads of, is now the third hardest profession in the UK to recruit. There's also a massive skill shortage. We don't pay amazing salaries compared to, say, PepsiCo and the likes. So it's hard. We can't just keep looking at skills because we'll never hire enough people. We've also got 20,000 temps working on the factories and all the rest of it. So Brexit is going to have a massive impact, massive. So we're going to have to find different ways of finding these people, not just on experience. Well, two-thirds of Gen Y, which is the latest generation, who you know, we're looking to bring in, as well as the people who are already there, they leave in 3 to 4 years, even when the salary is good, unless we create an environment that they can thrive on. Well, we need to work out how we can do that. And then look at the shortage of critical skills, and this is across the board, whether it be IT, finance, engineering, whatever. There's a shortage of critical skills, and it's going up and up and up. So we can't just keep looking at skills. So Two Sisters, you know, with a lot of research with the business as a whole, not just the leaders, but the actual staff, all the way from shop floor to management. We asked them, you know, what are the key things that makes it work here at Two Sisters? And they brought it all together and they came up with these essential ingredients, pardon the pun. So they thrive on challenge, we make things happen with agility and pace, we're leaders in the food industry, and we have entrepreneurial spirit. So great, nice strap lines, something to aim for, and what do we do with it? You know, how do we measure that, and how do we get that into the market? How do we, you know, test people that they have got? Quite often, a lot of the roles, we won't expect them to have all of that. You know, it'd be really silly. You got hundreds and hundreds of people, you know, coming through the doors every year. They can't do all of those things, but we pick up on what's important for any particular role, particular business area within the bigger business, and try and identify where that fits in. So I'm going to talk through sort of these key ingredients, but then mixing that in with what are the unique selling points for each particular role, because it's not the most glamorous place in the world, but each site, whether, you know, so we've got the fancy brands such as Fox's Biscuits and Holland's Pies versus, well, you just produce chicken. Each one of those has got a unique selling point, and we've got to be honest with them. So in the advert, in the conversations with them, at telephone interview, be honest with what the environment is. Don't let it be a shock. So we make sure they all have a tour of the factory, because we don't just look at experience. We can't do, otherwise we won't get enough people. So we get people in who haven't had that specific experience, but to make sure they know what they're getting themselves in for, here is a tour of the factory. And some will go, that's not for me. But the right people will go, oh yeah, I like this, it's thriving, I can make a difference in here. So we make sure it's a two-way thing all the time. We use these key ingredients all the way from the beginning. So it's in the advert, so people know what we're looking for. We then go through it and test them in telephone interview, video interviewing, all the way through to onboarding, and as they develop as well, and hopefully become leaders. Leads me on nicely to something that is very, very close to my heart, is that it's all very, you can teach skills, but you've got to have people with the right attitude and the right fit. So they might be really, really good at what they do, but are they the right fit for your environment? Is this the right environment for them? So everything around the recruitment of my team, and then I try and get that into the Two Sisters mentality, is making sure that wherever possible we measure the right mindset. So I'm going to touch now on some of the psychometrics and to make sure that we have got the right fit. I'm not going to go into massive detail because I'm no psychologist, I'm no expert. I just use these tools because then it gives me something that then I can use when I'm interviewing or making sure that we've got the right decision. So obviously there's the candidate competencies, so we make sure that we're quite clear on what those competencies are, but those competencies aren't necessarily 10 years experience. It's their mindset of, well, how would they go about, for example, sourcing or, for example, creating adverts. What's their mindset of making sure they're best in class rather than, yeah, I've done 10 years of this, of course I'm best in class. Quite often, and I've recruited these people, I think, I need someone with loads of experience, they've got it, I won't need to worry about them. Actually, they've caused more harm than good. We then look into the mindset and the culture fit. And so we use the psychometric testing, some assessment tools, and all those things. So what we're going to be trying to do is trying to identify that everyone's, when we're recruiting, is bought into that one purpose. So for Two Sisters, it might be that we're the leading food manufacturer in the world. Well, create a culture and get the right people who understand that one purpose, but actually feel as if they're part of that one purpose. So it'll be quite interesting to see what that looks like going forward, but that'll be the aim going at the next stage of what we do. Pulse Mindset is the tool that we use. What it brings to the table is a graph. So this is an example of a person of what someone's preferred ways of working are, but also their preferred work environment. And then what it does, it then puts it into a nice table for me to, there'll be key things that we look at, and we use this throughout Two Sisters as well, such as HR, in sales. We've trialled it in finance as well. And there'll be key things that we think could be the ingredients to make them work best in this environment. Not to say they will be an absolute yes or they will be an absolute no, but something to explore and something to look out for when we're actually interviewing. And the best of all, as well as the core questions, will then give us nice questions to explore. So this is where, because I'm not an expert in all of this, well, this is clear. We've got these questions now that we can use based on all that testing that we do. It works massively for us. Most of the time the quality of hire and all that sort of thing has improved dramatically since we started using this, both in Two Sisters but also for my team. Once they're in the business and they're doing well, we can use those other tools before, but I tend not to. I use this tool to bring the team together. So we've used it in sales, we've used it in HR, and passionate for me, we've used it on our own team. In that we've got a relatively high-performing team, they all seem to get on well together, but I just had this inkling that, are they as effective as they could be in working together as a team? I weren't sure, to be honest. You can be the best manager in the world, but do you really know, are they being the most effective as a team? Individuals are doing well, I've got the stats, but as a team, are they working as well as they could do? So we brought this in place, which is, it shows what people's preferences are. Now I was somewhere between yellow and red. So apparently I make decisions quick, but my attention to detail is awful. And quite interestingly, I'm sure there's no surprise here, quite a lot of recruiters are your reds and your yellows. But quite interesting, I was so pleased I had this, because we had a lot in the green and the blues. And they're the more softer, really analytical, attention to detail at times. Now, it can be a risk that you've got so many different types of people, but if it works, and it's proven, it's the most powerful thing you can have in your business. So quickly, of where we are now, just to let you know, when we started on this journey 2 years ago, we were a first generation recruitment full stop. They had absolutely nothing. So in 2 years, we've managed to get agency usage down to 8.2% from 92%, time to hire 24 days, candidate satisfaction of 95% plus, reduced attrition by 50%, internal promotions up by 150%, saved a lot of money, and interview ratios of 2.5 to 1. Unfortunately, a friend of mine died this week. And his saying was, "You're here for a good time, not for a long time." And what he meant by that was he was a bit of a party animal, he was a rugby man, and he just had a good time. But then I started to think, because it's made me smile every time I read that on all social media and everything, but actually it resonates with what we're doing today, in that we spend half of our time at work. All these people we're employing spend half their time at work. So let's do everything we can to make sure that they're there for a good time. Yeah, there's some hard work to be done, but there's no point in being miserable in the workplace, because productivity will be bad, they'll end up leaving, etc., etc. And at the end of the day, they're all human beings. They should be there for a good time if they're spending half of their life at work. So, yeah, I'm going to, from now on, make sure that that's in the top of my head, both so I can remember my friend, but also I think it's really important for the workplace.